In 1645, Miyamoto Musashi walked into a cave. He was 61 years old, undefeated in over 60 duels, the greatest swordsman Japan had ever seen. But he didn't go there to train. He went there to die. And in those final weeks, isolated from the world, he wrote something that would change the understanding of power forever. He wrote about desire, not how to fulfill it, not how to suppress it, but how to transmute it. How to take the most primal force in human nature and turn it into something else entirely. Something the modern world has completely forgotten. Musashi called it the way of walking alone. But what he really meant was this: most men are slaves. Slaves to their appetites. Slaves to their impulses. Slaves to the very thing they think makes them alive. And that slavery destroys them. Slowly, invisibly, completely. For centuries, this teaching remained hidden in the mountains of Japan, practiced by monks, warriors, men who understood that true power doesn't come from satisfying desire. It comes from redirecting it. Tonight we unlock what Musashi discovered in that cave. This is the Hidden Codex, where ancient discipline meets modern warfare. Miyamoto Musashi, 1584 to 1645, samurai, ronin, artist, philosopher. By age 13, he had killed his first man in a duel. By 30, he was legendary. By 60, he had transcended the need for a sword entirely. To the world, he was a warrior, but to himself, he was something else. A student of the void, of emptiness, of the space between wanting and having. Most people know Musashi from the Book of Five Rings. Strategy, combat, technique. But that wasn't his final work. His final work was Dokudo, the way of walking alone. 21 precepts, written in complete solitude, each one a blade cutting through illusion. And the sharpest of them all dealt with the thing most men refuse to face, the thing that controls them without them even knowing: desire itself. Before we go deeper, understand something. This knowledge isn't for everyone. It's for those who sense that the world is designed to keep you weak, distracted, endlessly chasing what will never satisfy. If you're ready to see what Musashi saw, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because here at the Hidden Codex, we don't just share philosophy. We reveal the weapons they don't want you to have. Now let's enter the cave. Musashi wrote, "Do not seek pleasure for its own sake." 5 words. Most people read that as moral advice, asceticism, self-denial. It's not. It's tactical instruction for your own mind. Here's what Musashi understood that modern psychology is only now beginning to discover. Every time you seek pleasure, you create a pathway in your brain, a neural pattern, a habit loop. Trigger, craving, response, reward. The more you repeat it, the stronger it gets, until eventually the pathway becomes automated. You're no longer choosing, you're reacting. And here's the disturbing part. The part Musashi saw with perfect clarity. The pathway doesn't care about the pleasure itself. It cares about the seeking, the anticipation, the hunt. That's where the dopamine lives. Not in the satisfaction, in the pursuit. So what happens? You chase, you obtain, you feel nothing. Then you chase again, harder, faster, more extreme. The pleasure diminishes, but the compulsion intensifies. Musashi called this the trap of the senses. A trap that catches warriors, monks, kings, anyone who mistakes stimulation for strength. And once you're caught, you're no longer living your life. You're living a loop, a program, running in the background of your consciousness, draining your energy, stealing your focus, making you weak. Not because pleasure is evil, but because the pursuit of it makes you predictable, controllable, easy to manipulate. Think about it. Every advertisement, every algorithm, every platform, they all know this. They're all designed around this. They're not selling you products. They're selling you the dopamine spike, the anticipation, the endless scroll toward a satisfaction that never comes. And you keep seeking, keep clicking, keep consuming, while your energy drains away. So what did Musashi do instead? He redirected the current. When he felt desire rising, he didn't suppress it. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure creates explosion. He transmuted it, transformed it, channeled the energy into something else. Into his art, his swordsmanship, his strategy, his presence. Every impulse to seek pleasure became fuel for discipline. Every craving became focus. Every distraction became depth. And here's what happened. His opponents couldn't predict him. Because he wasn't driven by appetite, he was driven by will. Pure, deliberate, unshakable. That's power. Let's be specific. You're lying in bed, late at night. The urge arises, the familiar pull. Most men do this. They reach for their phone. They open the app. They scroll. They click. They indulge. 15 minutes later, it's over. They feel empty, tired, slightly ashamed, but they tell themselves it's normal, natural, harmless. What they don't see is this. They just reinforced the pathway, strengthened the loop, made themselves weaker. Not morally, strategically. Because tomorrow the urge will return, stronger, earlier, more insistent. And every time they give in, they lose a piece of their sovereignty. But if you understand Musashi's method, you do something different. The urge arises, you feel it, you acknowledge it, and then you redirect. You stand up, you move, you train, you create, you focus on something that requires effort. Not to distract yourself, but to transform the energy. Because that urge, that desire, that pull, it's not weakness. It's power, raw, primal, biological power. And when you redirect it instead of releasing it, something extraordinary happens. Your focus sharpens, your energy compounds, your presence intensifies. People feel it, even if they can't name it. That's what Musashi discovered. That's what made him undefeatable. Not his technique, his energy. Musashi wrote in Dokudo, "Do not hold self-serving intentions." But here's what he meant. Every time you act on impulse, you serve the impulse, not yourself. You think you're satisfying a need, but you're actually feeding a master. A master that will demand more and more until there's nothing left. And this doesn't just apply to physical desire. It applies to every form of seeking. Validation, attention, comfort, entertainment, novelty. All of it creates the same loop. All of it drains the same energy. Musashi saw this in other warriors, men who were skilled, talented, strong. But they had weaknesses, vices, appetites. And he knew. In battle, those weaknesses would surface, could be exploited, would lead to death. So he eliminated his, one by one. Not through shame, not through guilt, through redirection. He turned every impulse inward, used it as fuel, transformed hunger into discipline. And by the time he entered that cave to write his final words, he had nothing left to conquer. Not because he had defeated all enemies, but because he had mastered the only enemy that ever mattered, himself. Now here's where it gets darker, because Musashi understood something that most people refuse to accept. The world doesn't want you to master yourself. It wants you distracted, fragmented, endlessly seeking what it can sell you. Because a man who has mastered his desire, a man who can redirect his energy at will, that man is dangerous. Not violent, dangerous. He can't be controlled, can't be manipulated, can't be bought. He moves through the world with a focus that others can't understand, a presence that others can't ignore. And that's exactly why this teaching was never popularized. Why Dokudo remained obscure while the Book of Five Rings became famous. Because strategy can be taught, technique can be sold. But this kind of self-mastery, this is a weapon, and weapons are kept from slaves. Musashi wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is." This one confuses people. They think it means passivity, acceptance, surrender. It means the opposite. It means stop resisting what is. Stop wasting energy fighting reality. Stop being pulled into emotional reactions by things you cannot control. Because here's what happens when you're constantly reacting. When you're triggered by circumstances. When your emotions are tethered to external events. You leak energy, constantly, in every direction. Someone insults you. Energy spent on anger. Someone rejects you. Energy spent on resentment. Something doesn't go your way. Energy spent on frustration. And all of that energy, it could have been used for creation, for focus, for power. But instead it drains away, into the void. Musashi saw this too, in himself, in others. The warriors who couldn't accept loss, who held grudges, who needed revenge. They were already defeated, not by their enemies, by their own inability to let go. So Musashi trained himself to accept everything, not with resignation, with neutrality. This happened, okay, what now? No emotional charge, no wasted energy, just immediate adaptation. That's why he could walk into any duel with complete calm, because he had already accepted every outcome. Victory, defeat, death. And when you've accepted all outcomes, you're no longer afraid. And when you're no longer afraid, you're truly free. That's the secret they don't teach you. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is wanting nothing you don't have. And the modern world is designed to make sure you always want more, always need more, always seek more. More pleasure, more validation, more stimulation. But every more you chase is another chain. Musashi knew this, so he cut the chains. Not by becoming a monk, by becoming complete. And completion doesn't mean you stop desiring. It means you stop being ruled by desire. You feel it, you see it, and you choose. Consciously, deliberately, strategically. That's the difference between a slave and a warrior. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually apply this. Because Musashi's method isn't theoretical, it's practical, it's a practice. And the practice is simple, uncomfortable, but simple. Every time a strong desire arises, you do three things. First, you pause. Don't react, don't suppress. Just pause. Create space between stimulus and response. Second, you observe. Where do you feel the desire in your body? What thoughts arise with it? What images? What impulses? Third, you redirect. You take that energy and you channel it into something that builds instead of depletes. Training, creating, studying, building, serving. Anything that requires effort, discipline, focus. And here's what starts to happen. Slowly at first, then dramatically. Your baseline energy rises, your mental clarity sharpens, your presence deepens. People notice, even if you say nothing. They feel something different about you, something grounded, unshakable. And opportunities start appearing, not because you're chasing them, but because you've become the kind of person opportunities come to. That's the invisible benefit of mastering desire. It doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how reality responds to you. Musashi experienced this. After years of discipline, he stopped needing to fight. Lords sought his counsel. Students begged for his teaching. His art became legendary. Not because he marketed himself, but because his energy spoke louder than words. And that energy came from one source, redirected desire. The same force that makes weak men slaves made Musashi unstoppable. The difference? He chose how to use it. 3 years before his death, Musashi wrote something that almost no one talks about. He wrote, "Do not pursue the taste of good food." On the surface, it sounds trivial, like he's just talking about diet. He's not. He's talking about the principle beneath all addictive behavior, the principle of escalation. Here's how it works. You experience something pleasurable. Your brain codes it, wants it again. But the second time, it's slightly less pleasurable. Because your dopamine receptors have adapted, they've raised the threshold. So you seek more intensity, more novelty, more extreme versions. And this pattern repeats in every area where you're chasing sensation. Food, screens, relationships, substances. The more you chase, the more you need to chase. The less you enjoy, the more you crave. Until you're not even chasing pleasure anymore. You're chasing relief from the discomfort of not having it. That's addiction, and it doesn't start with drugs. It starts with seemingly harmless pleasures, repeated too often, sought too eagerly. Musashi saw this in the samurai class. Men who started with sake, then gambling, then women, then worse. Each one thought they were in control, each one was wrong. And Musashi knew, if he allowed himself even small indulgences, the pattern would begin. So he didn't. Not out of fear, out of strategy. He ate simply, slept on hard ground, owned almost nothing. Not because he believed suffering was noble, but because he knew comfort was corrosive. And by the time he wrote Dokudo, he had proven it. He had lived 61 years without being ruled by a single appetite, without needing anything external to feel complete. And in that completeness, he found something most men never experience. Peace. Not the peace of having everything, the peace of needing nothing. Here's the final lesson, the one Musashi saved for last. In Dokudo, the 21st precept reads, "Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age." He was dying when he wrote that. Alone in a cave, no wealth, no land, no legacy except his words. And he was at peace, because he understood what most people never learn. Possession is a trap. The more you have, the more you fear losing. The more you fear losing, the more you cling. The more you cling, the weaker you become. And here's the darkest truth of all, the one that connects everything we've talked about. The reason modern society pushes pleasure, consumption, endless desire, is because it keeps you trapped. Trapped in the cycle of wanting, earning, buying, consuming, wanting more. You think you're free because you can choose what to buy, where to go, what to watch. But those aren't real choices, they're programmed responses. You've been trained, conditioned, engineered. To seek, to consume, to never be satisfied. And as long as you're seeking, you're not building, not creating, not becoming. You're just running on a wheel that never stops. Musashi stepped off the wheel. And when he did, he became something the system couldn't account for. A man who wanted nothing it offered. A man who couldn't be controlled by threat or promise. A man who walked alone. And that's the real meaning of his final teaching. Walking alone doesn't mean isolation, it means sovereignty. It means you're no longer moved by the same forces that move everyone else. You're no longer predictable, controllable, weak. You're awake. And once you're awake, there's no going back. Musashi died in that cave, alone, exactly as he wanted. His last words were, "I have no regrets." Not because he had lived a perfect life, but because he had lived a deliberate one. Every choice conscious, every desire mastered, every moment his own. And that's what they don't tell you. That freedom isn't out there, in some achievement, some relationship, some amount of pleasure. Freedom is in here, in mastery, in the ability to feel desire and not be ruled by it. Musashi proved it's possible, not just for him, for anyone willing to walk the path. The question is, are you willing? Are you ready to stop seeking and start mastering? To stop running and start standing? To stop being moved by the world and start moving through it? Most people aren't. Most people would rather stay comfortable, stay distracted, stay asleep. But you're still here, so maybe you're different. If this opened something in you, if you felt that pull toward discipline instead of distraction, then you need to subscribe to the Hidden Codex. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, smash that like button if you're ready to stop being a slave to your impulses. Because we're just getting started. Next time, we're going deeper into the warrior codes, into teachings that have been hidden for centuries, into practices that will change not just how you think, but who you are. You don't want to miss that. Until then, remember what Musashi wrote. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Accept everything just the way it is, and walk alone. The path is narrow, the gate is small, but on the other side is everything you've been searching for. Not satisfaction, not happiness, not peace. Power. Stay awake.